Yeah.
So, absolutely privileged to have you today, Steve. And for anyone out there who doesn't know who Steve Jones is, where have you been hiding? Steve is a chap that I met probably 5-6 years ago.
Probably. First, I think it was at a first in Foresters.
Yeah, probably. And I didn't, I'll be brutally honest, I didn't fully appreciate what you did.
No.
And I knew from the people that I knew that you had quite a detailed and broad business knowledge, but I didn't really truly understand. And so I pigeonholed you as a business coach.
Yeah, I remember that.
And fortunately through Evolve, I was able to see you work at first hand, and you did motivational maps on the Anytech team. And I think it was at that, I think it was when you did my motivational map, I kind of got it. And I realised, actually, I've just done what probably loads of my prospects do, which is IT, know what you do, Chris, yeah, got it, or don't need it, or whatever. And actually, when it goes terribly wrong, then they realise, okay, now we know what you do.
Yeah.
So I kind of, when I had that moment of revelation when you did my motivational map, and I was like, this is actually brilliant. The things that I thought I knew about myself all of a sudden became very, very clear, and that's when I decided I have to get my team done.
Yeah.
And actually, again, seeing the summary of what you did for my team at Anytech, enabling me to actually manage on a completely different level, and not just manage but also lead and actually support. So, you know, it's funny because going through that process actually added fat to the bone for me. It made me a better manager because it made me start to think about the members of the team in a completely different way. I think as a business manager, we're always juggling so many different things, but to actually see your members of staff as, shall we say, people first that need support,
Yeah.
both in their work and their personal life, you actually opened it for me. The reason I'm sitting here with 2 books is Steve, first thing he did is he walked through the door and he said, I've got a present for you. 2 books, which are going to add to my list of books. This is now 3rd in the line of the one I need to finish start reading, and then I'll get onto this one afterwards. So I'm rapidly getting a little library of really interesting books that I need to get through. So
Yeah, I realised I shouldn't have signed them, because if I had not signed them, you could have given them away as presents if you didn't fancy them.
are they signed?
Yeah, they're signed in there. So
Oh, bless you.
just to say thanks.
Oh, bless you. That is lovely. Oh, my word, Steve.
So I've devalued it already.
Oh, my... No. See, you've got to be careful with this stuff, because I'm getting old now. I cry at the drop of a hat.
Oh, yeah.
I get all emotional. So, I think where to start. If we start at the beginning, you're leaving school.
Right. Okay.
What did you want to be?
Okay, well, I wanted to be a professional footballer.
Really?
Yeah, and I was playing for Hampshire Youth in Southampton at the time. So the chances of that happening were quite good.
Blimey.
But then it didn't kind of work out. So
Did you just fall out of love with it, or
no,
injury,
it
or...?
wasn't good enough. But, you know, we're back in the day when I was on Saints books. I think two of the people who were in the squad of players made it professionally.
Right.
You know, and then back in the day, then there was no schooling, so you could finish, you could be on the scrap heap at 24
Right.
with no qualifications,
No.
nothing. So it was a too high risk. So I left basically.
Wow.
Played Hampshire League football and stuff.
So was that your absolute love?
Yes, I was only good at one thing, and that was sport. I
Wow.
was at school.
I had no idea.
Yeah, so
I
that
had
was me.
no
So,
idea.
yeah, so I decided that was the only thing I was good at, and then I got offered that job. I've got a job offered a job with Hampshire Football Association, so I
Okay.
worked with them for a year, but it was dead man's shoes really. It was just marking time. Then I spent some time with the Hampshire County Council, so I went into, there were plenty of jobs then, so I went into their Treasury Department of all
Okay.
places. I'm crap with numbers, so I don't know how I ended up there, and did about 3 years there. Then I got promoted into a personnel, and I started working with people.
Right.
And getting the recruits in and managing the recruits. And then I spent a week at an ESN home, just wanted to do it, to see what it would be like to work with educationally subnormal kids. Absolutely loved it. Realised that actually, do you know what, there's more to life than working for the council. Well, I was getting to that point anyway.
Yeah.
And then I decided, well, I'll go and do there was the very first HND in recreation management, so I went and did that at Farnborough College. But before I went off to America, taught swimming and football all summer in the Bermuda camps, came back and then did a 3-year sandwich placement, an HND sandwich placement. And during that time I was a sports organiser, because we had long placements. I sports organised it up in Lowestoft at a hotel and country club called Gunton Hall. So we had 600 people come, a bit like a Pontins. They were coming in. I would organise all the sporting activities, from clay pigeon shooting to squash tournaments to tennis tournaments to bowls tournaments, everything basically. Early morning fitness trails. So I did that for 2 seasons, and then I worked. Oh, it really is getting deep, isn't it? Then I spent some time working. I got myself a proper job working for Gloucester Leisure Centre.
Okay.
So I moved up there. And it was an interesting job because I managed the sports activities of the leisure centre. But we had a hall that converted to 2,100 seats, so we had all the artists like Tina Turner, Shiwari Wadi, all the groups coming in.
So events.
Yeah, and I ended up being Tina Turner's bodyguard of all things.
Are you joking?
No, so she had to have someone to look after her. So
You're joking?
So I looked after her, and I always remember she had a party backstage after she performed. And there's this 10-year-old boy that wanted to go in and meet her, so I said, I'll take you in, I don't know whether she'll see you. She stopped the whole party, she got a big picture of herself, stood on it, bent over, signed it, gave him a big kiss and sent him on his way and carried on with the party.
You're joking.
Yeah, so that was
amazing. Amazing.
Yeah, that was quite bizarre, because Steve Davis, the snooker player, so when the horse racing was up at Cheltenham week, they'd all come and do a snooker tournament at our place. That would give them the cash to go and spend at the races. So I remember spending an evening with Steve Davis because he wanted to watch Scotland play. So I opened the bar up. I said, we'll just let a few people in. We'll open the bar and watch the game.
Brilliant.
So yeah, lots of fun. And then kind of moved down to Fareham. I worked at Fareham Leisure Centre for a while, doing the same sort of thing, organising sport. And then I got out of that. Basically, I got offered a job with Fitness First. Yeah. So that was when they were one club down in Queen's Park. Yeah. So I opened their Fareham club, and then within 2 months they said, look, we need to get you out opening more clubs. So I was going around the country opening more clubs. We went from one club on the south coast to the largest in the world in 7 years. Wow. Through the aim before listing. Wow. Opened a club a week at one point in the UK and 2 worldwide. So that gave me all the experience of fast growth. Yeah. When the city got hold of it, about 2000-ish, I fell out of love with it, basically. Right. It just became a reporting process. Okay. Salespeople reporting every 15 minutes. Immediately became that demotivated person that I speak about. Right. So then I thought, what am I going to do now? So I took my share options, walked up and down the beach looking like a hobo with my Jack Russell, thinking, what do I do now? Yeah. And then I thought, I could probably help a few companies with their growth. Yeah. So I started working with companies to coach them for their growth, and then I got approached by an international coaching organisation called Sherlaws. They were an Australian organisation, so they were coming to the UK. I was the first in after the partnership, and basically they dealt with fast growth companies, and I looked at all their methodologies, tools and techniques, and it mapped perfectly my Fitness First journey. Okay. So I had all the experience plus the toolkit, so I spent 3 years with them. But during that 3 years I had a sort of moment where I realised actually, this is all about fast growth, but one of the challenges I was seeing consistently with the clients I was working with, because they were my clients, was actually you can't grow if you can't keep your people, or you can't attract talent. Yeah. So I started to look at leadership issues, motivational issues, so I separated myself away from Fitness First, from Sherlaws, and started to look at those issues, and then 2010 the government came knocking and said, we'll see what you're doing with motivation, we'll see what you're doing with leadership. We're looking at employee engagement in the UK. Would you come and join us up in London? Would you co-chair the steering committee? Because we're doing some research into what's going on. Yeah. So we did a 3 or 4 years research, and I took the findings, because nobody was doing anything with it, and sidestepped out of that movement and set up a course, and that's where I went. Warren Munson. Right. So I was speaking down at the Vitality Stadium. Yeah. He was in the audience. He said, I need you to come and see me, because he was, by his own admission, back in 2010, everybody thought we had a fantastic business, but he was dying inside. Yeah. It was becoming like the business he'd left. Yeah. So I just spent a bit of time with him, getting him refocused and his business refocused on getting the engagement right. Yeah. Then he put me very kindly into his top client, Asia Technologies.
Right.
So I spent a year with them, 18.5 million turnover business, defence industry, old school, new school, second generation business, trying to get employee engagement right, grappling with it. So we spent a year and we had really good success to the point where actually they got sold, which is a shame. And then that prompted the second book being written, which was, I got asked to write that book by Routledge on engagement.
Awesome, awesome. So, I mean, that's an incredible CV and quite an incredible journey, but I kind of want to know a bit more about Steve the person.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
If you're happy to share.
Yeah, of course I am.
And to be honest, a lot of people, especially what I would term traditionally successful people, and it's not just about, you know, the house, the car, the boat, the da-da-da. It's, to me now, a successful person is someone who knows who they are and they're able to articulate and communicate at lots of different levels with ease.
Yeah.
And I would say you're one of those people. Interestingly, the backgrounds that a lot of my peers come from are very varied. And if I say none of my peers, shall we say, had it completely easy.
No.
Your background, your upbringing, was it an extremely comfortable one? Was it a challenging one, or?
At the time, I didn't realise, but I had a really good upbringing. I
Right.
didn't have any sort of challenges. You know, my parents were great.
Wow.
We worked. When I was 11 months old, we moved to East Africa, so we lived in East Africa
Wow.
for the early part of my years. So I saw the game parks, grew up in a really interesting environment. Then we came back when Idi Amin decided that he was going to make life difficult for anybody.
So was it Africa through military moving around?
No, it was my dad couldn't get a job in the UK. He qualified as a haematologist and he couldn't get work in the UK, so he went abroad. And then he came back to Winchester to become the head of the Royal Hampshire Hospital. He was in the haematology department.
Wow.
But he couldn't get work, so we just went where the work was, basically.
Yeah.
And that ended up being in Uganda, Kampala. So,
Right.
yeah, it was a fascinating place.
Gosh, amazing. So, shall we say, a fairly varied but comfortable life?
Yeah, I came back, you know, I was pretty thick, I think, at school. I wasn't very clever at school. So, like I said, any sport was any good. So I went to, my dad decided to send me to a private school to give me the best chance, and that was a waste of money. But yeah, typically, I left school with very few qualifications, but back then there was jobs were easy to come by. So I had a really good upbringing. I had no complaints on my upbringing, and a really good ease into the workplace.
So very healthy relationships with your parents.
Yeah.
Okay, that's cool. So that's Steve the person growing up, the whole CV thing. Now, when, let's face it, within your sector, other than things changing perhaps through software, technology, etc., I guess the biggest difference for you now is the challenges that we're all facing with these new world challenges, like the pandemic, like the war and how it affects our businesses, etc., etc. Is that creating new challenges for you, or is it still your formula just works regardless of where people's mindset is generally?
Yeah, I think it works, but I think it's more relevant now.
Right.
Because actually, you mentioned earlier, you know, you want to get to know me the person, not me the employee.
Yeah. And
with your employees as well, what motivation maps to is if we understand them as a person.
Yes.
So we're not managing the employee anymore like we used to. Pre-COVID, we're now managing the person.
Yeah.
So you've got to understand, because there were a lot of people hybrid working as well. So yeah, so I sat back. When was it? March 2020, when everything went pear-shaped.
Yeah.
And I lost all my business overnight.
Wow.
Literally within 2 days, everybody had cancelled because they didn't know what was going to happen.
Yeah.
And I was a necessary evil, I suppose.
Yeah.
So it all went out the window. So I sat there thinking, I've got no money, no business.
Yeah.
And then I thought, well, it's okay. You know, the government will give me a bit of support. And I found out I was a limited company, so there's no support for a limited company. So I was thinking, but you know, you just have to take a view, don't you?
Yeah.
And I sat there and I thought, well, okay, well, it's going to be different in a month's time. In a month's time, when people have got their heads around what's going on, they're going to want to know how to manage those people.
Yeah.
You know, they're going to want to know how to lead differently. So I became very topical from being very untopical.
Yeah.
And in the meantime, Warren and I were putting in bids to win peer groups, and we won the peer groups. So we ran 15 of those through the 2 years, I think.
Yes.
So that was great. Love working with entrepreneurs, because everybody I spoke to on those peer groups, even people like myself who completely, their worlds have been destroyed, their positivity is unbelievable.
Yeah, we're a bit bonkers, I mean, including myself in that, obviously entrepreneur. Just call myself doing that, but I guess I am. But yeah, that's a whole different conversation. Ignorance is bliss sometimes, I think. So you mentioned a minute ago hybrid working.
Yeah.
And I'm interested in you're laughing already, because if you want to trigger anyone on LinkedIn, just mention hybrid working and see what happens. I know I can hear Warren's voice in my head right now telling me, well, just be open-minded. I'm old school. But it doesn't mean I'm blinkered. Fortunately, a lot of what we do here at Anytech isn't just sitting behind a keyboard, tapping away at keys, moving a mouse, looking at someone's screen. Sometimes people are, that's fantastic. Sometimes people actually have to bring stuff in. Clients have to come in, I'll just drop my laptop out of the boot of my car. Chris, it's in bits, can someone, so we need hands-on.
Well, manufacturing's the same, isn't it? You can't, there's certain things you can't do.
Absolutely. So for us, it was fantastic for me, because it meant I just didn't even have to have that conversation. I could just make things safe here. We've got loads of space, 2 floors, blah, blah, blah. Everyone felt safe. And as long as everyone was comfortable and everyone felt safe, we were cracking on. So we didn't stop throughout the pandemic. In fact, we expanded, which was great. And I've got my views on hybrid working. I personally think it's unhealthy for the individual, and it depends on that individual. But from what I could see, there was no criteria, there was no benchmarking, there was no, well, let's assess you to see if you're fit for working on your own at the kitchen table on your own 24/7.
It's great what you're saying, because it's so right.
There was no assessments. It was just like, oh, work at home if you want. So, it's like, well, that's not healthy for some people.
So you asked me what I'm doing now. So basically, I built a program called Employer Choice, how to become employer choice.
Right.
So I've sold that into, I'm doing the Bournemouth, Christchurch and Poole Council. I've done it with their communities teams. I'm doing it for their planning team right now. I've done it with their housing departments. So really help them understand, how do you manage the remote working.
Right.
And you're right, it's now about output, not time.
Yes.
But you have to put the benchmarks in, you have to put the standards in, you have to put the expectations in.
Yeah.
So how do you do that, and how do you manage a variety of people? Some people wanting to come into the office, some people not wanting to come into the office, some people working from home, some people not.
Yeah.
So it's become a whole different ball game for any leader now, and it's all based on trust now. A lot of it's trust.
Yeah.
So can you get the trust and the output? If you get the trust and the output right, you're okay.
I just think it's incredibly difficult, and I don't think that the tools were available at the time to equip business owners and managers to be making really smart decisions. And I think what potentially could suffer without sophisticated tools and a project-based assessment of your staff is morale, which if your staff are demoralised because of morale, they lose momentum, and that will affect your efficiency. So the business ultimately will suffer because of profits and inefficiencies. Plus, your staff will start being ill. They'll be off with mental stress and all the rest of it. And I just
that's why we've been, I've just come back from Abu Dhabi. Been out working with Etihad's airlines out there. We've changed 70 of their managers. 60 of their managers. Over a 3-day period on how to run this motivational. We call it Mojo now because you met Michael Sharp.
Yes.
We've developed it into an online tool that companies can use with their employees every 90 days. So you're looking at your motivation every 90 days now, working out what's going on, listening to your staff, because it's become a key issue. Like you say, if you don't do this, then people, there's the great resignation going on as well. So people deciding, actually, I've been at home, it's nice, I can walk my dog, I can do other things, why do I want to go back and do something a week? Why do I want to be on a train to London for 2 hours? So there's a lot of people resigning, kind of our age and upwards, who've decided that they want a different life. So how do you stop that happening? How do you keep those people engaged? You've got to think differently. So it's how you think differently and how you manage that, so that they stay engaged with you, but can still walk their dog and do other stuff.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of talent leaving at the top end.
Yeah. And I bet there's a lot of work for you as well. But again, I think the challenge for you is, and similar to me, is from where we're sitting, we can look out, we can see a business, we can see a business owner, and we can see straight away, you need to do this, you need to do this, and you need to do this. And we, I bash my head against a brick wall telling business owners about cyber protections and the lack of it that they have. But it's incredibly difficult to get them to understand what they're actually on the verge of. And it's funny, I feel so kindred spirit with you because of going through that process and going, why didn't I do this years ago? I should have done this years ago.
Well, you did that to me. I had to ring you up on I think Sunday morning because I had a cyber attack, didn't I? Yeah. So I was one of those business owners that I don't need that.
No, don't need it. I know. Yeah. But it's. I think we just have to keep pushing the message out, which is nice about sitting here having a chat with you. Push the message out. I can't enthuse enough to any business manager out there running a business, managing a team, trying to lead a team, trying to create a vision and have people follow you and work well. You absolutely need to use this guy's services and even start with the motivational maps. If you haven't done it already, you can't manage a set of individuals with the same umbrella. You've got to be able to tweak it and understand the needs of your team on an individual basis, and you'll get more from it. You'll get more from your business. I'm in such an amazing place at the moment with my business, and one of the chaps pulled me to one side yesterday and said, I'd like to put a meeting in the calendar because I want to talk to you about how we can improve this, how we can improve that, and actually in turn we can use that with our clients and blah blah. The employees are driving the business, and I couldn't have done it, I don't think, without people like you, Warren, loads of different peers that I talk to. You surround yourself with
good people, and
you're all amazing.
But you listen. You're always curious. The thing is, you're always curious. That's what I liked about you when you came on the Peer Network. You were the person who was asking questions of the others.
But I don't know about you, Steve, but I'm more excited now about being in business and managing businesses than I've ever been. And this business has been going for 18 years, and now I'm really starting to enjoy it. And it's daft. It's not because of client wins or anything. It's actually spending the time to learn and understand people, and then putting them together and watching them grow.
Yeah, but you're good at that. You invest a lot of time, don't you, in working with people.
I could do more though. I could do more, and I'm working on that.
You're a closet coach, you realise that?
Yeah, I don't think so. I don't think I am. I'm not. I'll be honest with you. I don't think I'm intelligent enough, and I don't mean I'm not disrespecting myself. But yeah, and to be honest, I can't be serious for longer than 20 minutes. I can't be serious. No. I was on the verge before we started recording, didn't I, Tom, of having a laughing fit because I'm an idiot.
Well, I remember when I first met you. I got you to guess what I did. You said, it's obvious, you're so relaxed, you must be a coach. That's what you said to me.
And I feel so bad about that because I was right, and I wish I'd been wrong. Because I wish I'd been wrong because I know I'm a lawyer or something else. Yeah, but because it's funny though. We'd all piled into this place. We all looked a little bit dishevelled, a bit hot and sweaty. Yeah. We've clearly, had a day of it. And there's you. Look like you just stepped out of a shower. I'm like, well, you're a business coach for sure. Because you've left all that behind. You were the most relaxed person. And literally, you looked like you just had a shower. Yeah. And you literally just stepped out. So it was there are a few clues there. Yeah. But I do like guessing what people do. And it's funny. When you meet someone, you get the clues and all the rest of it, and it's like, yeah, you're ex-military, aren't you? It's like, how did you tell? It's like, it never leaves you. Steve, wonderful to see you.
Been great, mate.
Wonderful to talk to you. Wonderful to learn a bit of insight. And as I say, anyone out there who's interested in developing your team, managing, and not just managing, but leading your team for better growth in your business, give Steve a shout. He's a lovely guy, easy to talk to, and you know, it costs nothing to just bend his ear. So do it.